Hey there YouTube, it's Ryan. You know, I've only done a couple of videos over the past 2 or 3 weeks and I had committed to do more, but sometimes life gets in the way, work gets in the way, and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my work because I think for some of you it might be kind of fascinating, and for those of you who are younger, you might be interested in what I do from the perspective of me helping you decide whether you'd want to do it. I work in TV news, specifically the digital part of TV news. Let me tell you about it. Stick with me. So I've been in TV news for, it's been 9 years now. I'm 47, so that is roughly 20% of my life, and I would say probably a third of my career so far. I've done newspaper. I was a general assignment reporter in Hugo, Oklahoma. I was a sports editor in El Campo, Texas, that's South Texas. I've written for magazines. I helped start Practical E-commerce. I did a lot of the writing for Carrie Murdoch back in the mid-2000s. And done some tech writing, done some tech development. I've got some front-end web development skills. I've got some expertise in SEO and social, and I oversee a team that does all of that. But we win breaking news and severe weather, and we do what TV news stations do on the digital side of things, which means I spend my days playing on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and I'm steeped in the breaking news and severe weather that happens here in Oklahoma. And I love it. That is a passion of mine. It's something that's been a passion of mine for a long time. And I wanted to answer the question for maybe those of you who are 14, 15, maybe you're looking for a second career and thought, maybe I could do this journalism thing. Maybe you want to start a hyperlocal blog. Any one of you can do it, and I thought I would just sort of like tell you about what it's like to work in a newsroom. A conventional one. Now mind you, if you're starting a hyperlocal blog, you can do that from the house. You can just start right now. So let me tell you what it's like to work in a newsroom. Number one, it's not conventional. Some parts are conventional. There's a lot of people, there's moving around, there's hustle and bustle and talking, and for a lot of offices, that's kind of the norm. Most offices don't have scanner traffic going 24/7. It's a big reason why I think I have tinnitus, ringing of the ears. I've got scanner ear, and I've had that for quite a while. We don't have high cubicles in newsrooms. It's an open area, collaborative. We all, you can shout across the room, although it's probably frowned upon. We behave. A lot of hustle and bustle, that's true. But take dress code, for example. You'll have one guy in TV news who'll be dressed to the nines, and then the person right next to him will be in t-shirt and shorts and not sandals, but tennis shoes. You dress appropriate to your job. If you're going to be on air, you dress a certain way. If you're going to be in the field on air, you dress a different way. If you're going to be lugging around a big camera all day, you'll dress another way. You'll dress appropriate to your job. So newsrooms have their own culture, and it's not conventional to an office. It's a little more familial, a little more family-like, a little more open, and that's the best way I can describe it. Newsrooms have their own ethos, their own mores and customs, and it's just different. I've worked in an office, I worked in a newsroom, it's different. Number two, the hours are unpredictable, and I will tell any of you who aspires to get into journalism, be prepared to work nights, overnights, weekends, all of the above. It's not a 9-to-5 job, and even when you're not in the newsroom, you are a journalist, you're a news person, and it's important to understand that and be cognizant of the world around you. To be a good journalist is to be a good journalism consumer. Read newspapers, read digital apps, pay attention to breaking news, watch the TV coverage, pay attention to your competitors. But the hours are unpredictable, and if you're going to start a hyperlocal blog, understand, if you develop an audience who starts to depend on you for news and information about your neighborhood, you're obliged to be sort of on call 24/7. If there's a house fire down the road, you gotta get up and cover it. You need to get a scanner, you need to know what's going on, and it's a 24/7 deal. That's how you'll really develop an audience, but it's unpredictable hours. And for anybody who wants to get into TV news because it's glamorous, I will tell you, it's a lot of hard work. In fact, the journalists with whom I work on a daily basis, I don't know anybody who works harder, and it's unpredictable hours. We've had two big news events in Oklahoma the past couple of weeks, the teacher walkout and wildfires, and we've regularly work 12 to 14-hour days. We love what we do, and I will tell you, there's not an ounce of complaining in me about it, and you'll find that's pretty much across the board. Number 3, the time goes by really, 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 really fast. When I worked in corporate communications, there would be times when there was a little bit of a lull, when you wondered, boy, this day sure is moving slowly. That's not the case in news, especially in TV news, especially in a competitive market. It is go, 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 go. You get in at 8, 8:39, whenever your shift starts, and the 8, 9 hours just goes by just like that. And if you got breaking news and you end up working 12 hours that day, it just doesn't go slowly. There's at no point are you thinking, when is this day going to end? I mean, you may think it from the perspective of, boy, I'm tired, but not, boy, I'm bored. It is not boring. The time moves really fast. So far we've talked about a newsroom being not corporately conventional. It's a little different. Number 2, unpredictable hours. If you aspire to be in this business, if you aspire to have a hyperlocal blog, get ready to be 24/7 on call. Number 3, time goes by really fast. There's no doubt about it. And number 4, the expectations are really high. Whether you're a hyperlocal blogger, whether you're just new into the business, or whether you've been doing it for a long time like I have, the expectations for yourself and from your bosses and from your teammates, extraordinarily high. Believe it or not, it's important to be correct, accurate. It's important to be precise. It's important to be first. It's important to do both. There are a lot of people who say, you know what, we'll go ahead and be second. We'd rather be right. It's a false equivalency. To be correct and to be first is always the goal, right? And you do that in a multitude of ways. And I'm going to shoot another video where I talk about how to develop sources and how to confirm things and how to do it the right way. But let's just say the expectations are extraordinarily high, and there's no situation that you take lighter than another. The goal is always be accurate, be first, do both. Figure a way to make that happen. Number 5, numero cinco, all right? What's it like to work in a newsroom? In a corporate setting, your deadline might be a week from now, or it might be on the 23rd. It might be when the convention happens. It might be this, it might be that. In news, the deadline is right now. And let me put it another way. The deadline is right bleeping now. Always is, especially in the digital area. Whatever's happening, the push alert, the breaking news cut in, the news story, the social post, it's all due right now. All right, the faster you can get it up, thoroughly, accurately, the better. The deadline is now. Our sister station up in Tulsa, KOTV, has a great saying on its wall, and it says, the deadline is now. It's a motto, it's a mantra that we all live by. Now, I will tell you this, there are times when you work on content that is more long tail, all right, that it can wait till the end of the evening because it's not breaking news, all right, but most of the time the deadline's right now. Oh, and here's another thing I wanted to mention about the deadline being right now. A thing about corporate America that you're probably used to if you work in corporate America is that it takes weeks to get things done, sometimes months. There are meetings upon meetings and planning meetings and status update meetings, and then 6 months later something happens. It is a modern miracle that a newspaper gets published every single day, that the New York Times is able to do what they do every single day. Corporate America couldn't get that done in a year. I used to work for a digital agency in Dallas, and the biggest conundrum we always had with regard to the development of websites was, when are we going to get the content? We need the content for the website. And I remember saying back then in the early 2000s, how does the Wall Street Journal manage to put a newspaper together every single day and we can't write 3 paragraphs for the About Us section of a website? Journalists get it done. And I will just tell you that it's no matter what, you got a newscast at 4, 5, 6, and 9 or 10, right? That's going to happen no matter what. You have to fill that space. You got to fill that time every single day. Number 6, let's talk about pay, right? Some of you in journalism will make a good chunk of change. Some of you won't make much at all. It really kind of depends where you live and what you do. My first job in Hugo, Oklahoma, I'm just going to be real honest with you. I made $208 a week. Think about that. $208 a week. That was back in 1994. Even for 1994, If you study economics, you'll find that wages over a long period of time in America haven't changed that much. From the late 70s to now even. Not relative to cost of living, it hasn't. All right, so $208 in 1994. It was $10,816 per year. Think about that. That's abject poverty, and I get it. You know, what we're doing is not nursing or it's not law. I'm not practicing law. It's not, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not the president. But goodness, $208 a week, it's nothing. Now, I will tell you that the pay in journalism can be a lot better than that. But really, you have to hone your craft. You have to work your markets. Where you live means a lot. The company you work for means a lot. And what you do means a lot. So if you're in it for the money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons to begin with. That's all I'll say. Number 7, empathy is required. It really is. And I say that. It's not like there's an empathy test on your first day of becoming a journalist. What I will tell you is, though, journalists often deal in the currency of devastation. We're doing stories on the worst days of somebody's life. Often the story we cover represents the worst day in their life. Think about that. What's the worst day you've ever had, ever? A parent dying, a sibling, a son or a daughter, a spouse, your house burnt down. There are a multitude of things that could happen that are bad to you. Think about the absolute worst, and there's a fair chance that a journalist might have been covering it, particularly if it was sudden and tragic. You have to learn to have empathy, and not fake empathy. You got to have compassion for people. There's an old saying, and it's something I'll do a video about sometime, but it's called comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. That's the old saying about what newspapers do. It's actually taken out of context. I'll tell the story sometime, but it's not a bad mantra to aspire to. Comfort the afflicted, afflict the comfortable. Empathy is required. It'll help you be a better journalist, tell better stories, and make better connections with people. So I would just tell you, if you don't have that empathy thing, if you're one of those people who's hard and cold, I would just ask you to try to develop it, because you're going to be dealing in the worst days of people's lives every once in a while. And if you don't have some compassion, man, God help you. Number 8, you're going to make a lot of connections. If you do nothing else as a young journalist, or a journalist starting a second career, or maybe you're a hyperlocal blogger, be aware that your sources, the people who help you with stories, are not just sources for a story. They're life connections. There are people that you develop friendships with. And that means police, fire, PIO, spokespeople, people you do a story about. I've got a number of Facebook friends that just were sources on stories, or they were somebody I helped get information to during a tornado. And they turn into sources, they turn into friends, and you're going to make a lot of connections. Connections that can help you get jobs or tell stories in the future, or break news. So just realize that as a reporter, you're going to report information. You're going to have empathy for people who are having the worst day in their life. And you're going to develop connections and relationships with people who help you with those stories. You need those people. You can't be in the bridge burning business, okay? Last but not least, let's talk about number 9. At some point after a year or two in journalism, you're going to decide that you either love it or you don't. You're going to work a lot, you're going to be tired, you're going to put on a few extra pounds. Let me tell you about that. But you're going to decide that you love the business because you love telling stories, you love working in a newsroom, you love the environment, you love the adrenaline, and you love the product that you put out each day. Each day is a new day. You don't carry a lot from one day to the next unless you're in sort of continuing coverage. But if you decide you love the business, there truly is nothing out there that compares with it in terms of the impact that you have on people's lives. I was at a dinner the other night, and our chief meteorologist was there, and somebody from out of town came up to thank the chief meteorologist about the information he gave during a tornado. Saved his life. That's the type of reward that money cannot possibly buy. It is a great business, it's a great vocation, and I want to tell you more about it in future videos down the road. So this is for the young journalist, somebody who's stepping into college or maybe just into their first career. I'll focus on some digital, but also for those of you who aspire to start a hyperlocal blog, if you're a one-man band like that, you can do that and cover your community. You can make a pretty good living doing that. So I'll help you along the way. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you'll check out my music. Look down for the button that says subscribe if you enjoyed this. Hit the notifications button if you will. That way you'll know when I've recorded a new video. Thank you very much. Have a great day.